Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. I didn't test the microphone. I hope you can hear me okay. This week, I wanted to share, and this is now I'm sharing in hindsight, not right in the feels of it. So I hope the message comes across of what I want to say. And I also lost my little post-it note, so bear with. But I wanted to talk about the day that I gave my little vampire the last breast milk bottle and the feelings that kind of like came along with it. So last we spoke about the breastfeeding pumping journey. I was at sort of like we were going to half breast milk and then half formula bottles, and it was just kind of like gradually decreasing. And I had that chat with Geordie of like, I can feel the craziness start to drop in a little bit. And he was like, well, why don't you just quit now? And so I was doing the quiet quitting and just letting my nervy system like regulate, with the idea that I will no longer be pumping anymore. And I haven't pumped in a very long time now. Well, it's only been like a couple of weeks now, but it feels like a very long time. And it feels like I don't even miss it. I don't even know, like it just doesn't even occur to me in my brain anymore, which is really nice. But yeah, we were like trying to just stop with the pumping at the 3 month mark. And then I felt myself dip from my neutral into like, oh, I'm starting to have weird feelings and thoughts again. So I decided to start quietly quitting, keep dropping a pump and see where that kind of leads. And what happened was I started to obviously make less breast milk, which was a little bit trickier to make. I got to the point where it would take a day's worth of pumping to make a whole bottle, which got a little bit disheartening and draining, with the amount of like mils that would come out after a 15 minutes each side. So a 30-minute session and only getting a little bit and only making one bottle. And anyway, so I had this date in my head of when I was going to stop, and it was going to be before Christmas and blah, 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 blah. And in the end, I was just about I was thinking in my head about a weekend. I was like, okay, this is going to be my last pump. This is going to be my last little session, and so on and so forth. However, I didn't tell anyone about it, and I just thought in my head, right, I'm gonna only do one more pump, and then that should make me a bottle. And anyway, the maths was mathing, and I didn't have enough for a whole bottle. So the day that I thought, like, I'm gonna have Louie's last breast milk on this day, and I'm gonna make a ritual, and I'm gonna make it a thing, and I'm gonna make it, like anchor in the moment. It didn't happen because I was like, well, if I do a pump, then it just won't make sense. It just made sense to do it then and there because that last pump made that bottle. If that, like, honestly, this stuff doesn't even really matter. It just gets so big in your head when it's you and you're in it. And so I do apologize if you're a walnut listening, like, what the, who even cares? But it's just so big when you're there. So yeah, it worked out that to do everything a day earlier, and it was, like Geordie wasn't home. We couldn't make it like this family thing. And I was like, how the hell am I going to make this a big special moment? Because it is a big special moment, but also it's not a big special moment at the same time. So how can I look after myself to get the both feelings of this? I want to document it. I want to make it memorable, but I also just want to just do it and make it be like just this normal thing that I have done. So, what I did, and this is what I talk about in Elevate to Celebrate a little bit about anchoring moments, was that I simply just got the bottle and I was like, oh my God, okay, this is going to be it then. This is like life. Sometimes things just happen and you just have to get on with it and do them. So I grabbed the bottle, I heated it up, and I was like, right, this is going to be the last one. So what I tried to do is I simply took a photo. I took a couple of photos. One that didn't really like have his face because I'm not putting him on social media, that I could post in the walnut tree and stuff. And then the second one, just like with his face, just for the memes. And then we took a couple of selfies after, when we were having burpee time that are absolutely horrendous, but just to mark the moment of this was your last ever breast milk. This is the last. It's really hard to describe because it's so sad. And I was talking about this with Stacey. It's like this, they don't need me anymore. And he didn't really need my breast milk anyway. You know, we were getting up to like one bottle a day. No, even almost a bottle every 2 days. Like right before I gave up, it was like he had a whole day of just formula because I didn't hadn't made enough, and then the next morning he got breast milk. So it's like, yeah, it's this weird feeling of like, oh my God, I'm free, but also why would I want to be free when my baby depends on me? It's like this really weird feeling. So I wanted to keep that moment just really sacred and just between us in that moment, and then afterwards we took a couple little photos just to be like, look what we did, and this is a milestone moment, and this is a big deal for us. um and it was the best thing for us. I'm really glad in hindsight as well, Walnut, that I did the quiet weaning off. That it's typical Laz fashion though, right? I'm not one to just kind of like parade around like, this is my decision and I am doing this and I declare it to the world like a New Year's resolution or something, like I'm just like okay, this is food for thought. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to keep going and we'll go from there. Um, which, which I'm really, that helped me in terms of coming to terms with the fact that I am no longer pumping anymore, the fact that my baby is going to be formula fed from now on and stuff like that. I actually had a really interesting discussion with a girl I went to school with who is has a baby of similar age, and she had also posted that on Instagram, like, oh, this is the last breast milk. I wasn't making enough milk, la la. La. And so I obviously replied and I said, oh my gosh, similar situation. Literally, like right now, this is happening to me. And this is what I was doing, and we had a little bit of back and forth. And she said, oh, yeah, thanks for saying that because it's actually I've been made to feel quite guilty or like I'm doing something wrong in the mums group that I'm in. And it was really funny because just that day I had said to Geordie, oh, maybe I should join a mums group because, um, to force me to get myself out there and to go outside and to blah, blah, blah. Because I'm at the point, well, no, where I don't want to meet people and I don't want to make friends. I'm fine. I'm fine. Look, Ross, I'm fine. Um, no, but I thought maybe that's something that I could do and that's babyish and it helps me practice going in the car and all of the other little walnuttings that I've got to do in terms of this journey. But when she said that, I was like, oh, thank goodness. I've been sticking to my guns of what feels right because that was a clear example of me of a reason why I wouldn't want to go to one of those things. And she said sort of, yeah, like the only thing we sort of have in common is that we all have similar age babies. So it's just a weird thing. And she said that she had only done it for the reasons that I was saying was just to practice getting out and stuff. And she said she's much more confident going out now. But yeah, so I sort of I walnutted and I said, hey, well, look, we've got some babies similar age. We already know each other, so there's no pressure, and I need to practice going outside. So if you ever want to just meet up with somebody and just talk about that kind of stuff, but with someone that we kind of already know, I mean, we haven't hung out or seen each other in years, but we know each other. Um, then let's do that. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. But there is such a my point that I was getting at is there is such a stigma, weird kind of thing that goes on in not even society, just everywhere about formula feeding. Yet formula feeding, I feel like, is the most common, which is really interesting because yeah, lots of people I know have form at least mixed fed their babies, which yeah, and I think it comes down to I tried to get an understanding from my midwife and stuff like that of like why is formula bad, and there's all of the things that come along with processed man-made things and blah blah blah. But what she kind of said, she was like, it's not actually that bad in New Zealand, but in countries like in other countries that it's a product. Formula has been a product made for just like consumerism and impacts, the worthiness of the mother. And it's like we don't need you. You need to make sure your baby's getting all these vitamins and all the things. And that is where it stems from of the people who don't make enough breast milk or people who can't breastfeed like at all. That's where it kind of comes from. And she was kind of like drilling into me. She's like, you are all that your baby needs. Um, you can your boobs are so magical. I've already talked about before. They just know all these things. Um, but yeah, I think there is a fine line between doing the hard slog of the breastfeeding. And I think it's great that I gave it my best shot for as long as I can. But I was just one of the women that was not making a big supply. And whether that was because I introduced pumping so early because of all my own reasons or not. But you see I got on an algorithm of like pumping and stuff naturally on all the social medias, and it's really disheartening to see women with like heaps of supply and filling up their milk bottles with like heaps of milk that they pump from one session, and when you're not making that much, and that's where there's little like, oh, formula is all your baby needs and can kind of like grab you because yeah, so I think that's where I kind of got to with the formula feeding. Plus also a lot of people I spoke to, you don't see a grown up walking around the street and being like, oh, he was certainly a formula fed baby. Like, or going, oh, you were definitely breastfed, weren't you? Like that, none of that stuff matters after they're like not having milk anymore, you don't even think about it anymore, but it is a thing. And yeah, so my baby had his last breast milk, which was a big deal, but also not a big deal at the same time. And I just wanted to kind of like talk about that, but also talk about that reminder to just document stuff. And the reminder to like when you are celebrating something, finding your way to just be in that present moment so that you can remember it and so that you can enjoy it. I'm trying really hard to just embrace not doing the things that I need to do so that I can rest and do it later and not have to worry about it later, but just like having those little snuggles, even though I'm like, oh, I have to put on washing, do the dishwasher, blah, 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 blah. And just having them because I know that um I don't want my to-do list to rob me of the moments that I'll look back later and go, oh, I wish I kind of enjoyed that a little bit more. And that was what I wanted to kind of be the theme of this episode. I know I've gone on like 500 tangents, but of just anchoring moments. And that's not to say you need to live through your phone and take a selfie for everything or make sure you're posting on your story every day or anything like that. It's just that's a nice tool for me to be able to be like, okay, this is helping me be present. And yeah, that's something I'm actively kind of doing now. I actually did it just before this episode because this is how long it's taken me. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks since the last breast milk thing, and I'm going to record an episode about it. I just haven't found the moment to between just having a baby and my little chaos brain of wanting to do chores and then also getting a moment alone. So, yeah, it's really difficult for me to find a second to just be. So I'm also very grateful of you listening to these little yeah, chaos moments, and also because it makes the podcast does make me take the time to reflect and think about the moments that I want to hold sacred. So yeah, anyway, my walnutting is that I gave my baby the last bottle of my milk. He doesn't need me for that anymore. It's another little milestone. And also that I documented it. Just a reminder to be present and to document things. So I hope this kind of very loosely gives you some sort of motivation to just enjoy moments as they are without the pressures of anything else, like to-do lists or needing to post it or needing to look good for the photo. Like I said, the selfies that me and Louie took are absolutely horrendous, but it's like, no, that was a moment in time where we cuddled after the last slog of the breast milk bottle, which probably took 1.5 days to accumulate. Um, so yeah, have a happy Walnut Wednesday. I hope you're having a really wonderful start to the new year. And I would love to hear from you and if you have any stories. Um, and yes, on that, I will talk to you next week. Hopefully a lot less scatterbrainy, and I will try to make notes as we go. But thanks for keeping up if you're still here. Happy, happy Walnut Wednesday. You are beautiful, you are sexy, you are delicious, and you are worthy of being present in the moment. Happy Walnut Wednesday. Bye.